How's it going, everyone? Today is a very special day, and it's the 20th anniversary of Naruto. Now, I wanted to make a video just talking about this in general because I think it's very cool, you know. I mean, my whole channel is centered around Naruto, and it's hard to believe it's been 20 years. I can say that about more than just the series as a whole, but 20 whole years. Wow. So I want to, take the time and just talk about what Naruto means to me and, how I got into it and everything that I have to do with that just makes me care about it. So first of all, if you guys have seen my Q&A video, then you guys know why Naruto being 20 years old is so, specific and memorable to me, why I have something in common with that. And that's of course because I am 20 years old as well. I'm a little bit older than Naruto, I guess, in that aspect by a couple of months. But it's just crazy to me because, I think about it, I only started watching Naruto once I grew up a little bit more. Like when I was a kid, I watched Naruto. I never was, young enough back then when it came on Toonami, but I would watch it on Cartoon Network all the time. Like I remember when I was 6, 7, even younger than that, just watching Naruto Part 1 on Cartoon Network. It was always so cool to me. All my friends, we would always talk about it. And sometimes even in school, in the library, they had the manga in it, and I was fortunate enough to be able to read it that way because I didn't own any at the time. So that's why I think the anime has always had a more closer spot in my heart, just because that's how I grew up on it, I just wasn't fortunate enough to have the books back then, so I just went ahead and, watched it on TV. There was no internet for me to use like I am able to now as much, so I just went on my TV as a kid and watched Naruto, and that's what it was to me. And I've said this before as well, I was always like into Naruto, but I was never big on it. I didn't really get into it as much until I started to grow up, and I think that's because there's a lot of stuff in Naruto that you have to be a little bit more mature to understand. Like I know for a fact back then I didn't understand much of it, and now like the story to me is so vivid. I know so many things about it, and I can definitely appreciate it more because of that. So when I first started reading the manga, it was actually a very long time into the series. It was already into Shippuden. I started reading the manga a lot more, like I said, I read it in school a lot, but I finally got my first copies of the manga in the form of the beginning of Shippuden 28, 29, and then unfortunately 31, because I remember I would always go to the mall at Christmas time and I would just tell my mom, I wanted to get this book. Like I love Naruto. Like I always had such a great feeling going into, like I'm not a big reader. I don't, and Naruto's the one thing to this day that I can read. And you could say, well, it's got a lot of pictures, all that stuff, so maybe that's why I liked it. But it was just because it was something I was invested in. I have nothing against reading, it just has to be something I'm invested in, and Naruto definitely was that, because it just, reading it, the manga is different from the anime, so it was interesting enough for me to be interested in. So that was something I definitely was into. So for me as a kid to want to go to the bookstore in the mall and just pick up copies of these books, to me that was pretty big. And so I was able to convince my mom to get me these $10 books here in the US over a $60 video game. So that was pretty nice at the same time. So I was able to get more for what I wanted. And so I got those 3 copies. Unfortunately, the store, like I said, that I went to didn't have copy 30, but that's okay. And till this day, those are the 3 books that I have that mean the most to me, because those were like my first Naruto manga. And I don't feel embarrassed to say that, because I feel like we all grow up with things in our own way. And even though I didn't grow up watching Naruto on Toonami, I didn't have the manga and all that stuff back then. Heck, I was just barely like a baby when Naruto was even made. So but I still appreciate it, and that's the thing, you can still appreciate something and come to appreciate it more over time. Like being a baby when Naruto come out to now being 20 years old along with it, and I can definitely still appreciate it as if it came out yesterday, and I think that's very important. So the manga was always pretty cool to me, and watching it on TV, it always was just really great. Talking about it with my friends, Naruto always really meant a lot to me. I feel like my relationship with the series as a whole is kind of like how Kurama and Naruto are with each other. They weren't always so very close, but Kurama was always there for Naruto. And I feel like that's the thing. Naruto was always something that was there for me. I just wasn't always, super close with it until I started to, mature a little bit and get into it more. But it was always something that was there for me, and that's why I think I appreciate it so much as I do, and that's why, I like to make videos on it even now to this day, because it's something that's stuck with me in that way. But I really want to know, you know, how you guys were able to, you know, get into Naruto. What was your start? My start was, you know, just watching it on TV and then growing up with it through the books and just my friends as well. And then eventually, you know, the internet, that was what really solidified it for me, because I had access to every episode, every page, you know, for free. So that was really helpful for me, most importantly, because that's what limited to me back then. It's definitely something that I thought that was worth talking about, because the 20th celebration is just, it's, like I said, it's very, not really sentimental, but specific to me, because, you know, I'm along with that number, so it's just like weird to me, you know. I think that's pretty cool, and it just makes me think that it's hard to believe it's been 20 years, you know. And I'm really looking forward to the future. I mean, I'm not as big into Boruto as I was Naruto, of course, but I'm still hyped for the future, and I'm looking forward to what it has in store for it. And even then, I'm still never gonna give up on Naruto. You know, one day maybe I'll be telling my kids about Naruto, and maybe they'll like it just like I did. But yeah, I just wanted to sit down and talk about this. It's a very big thing, and I hope you guys have enjoyed Naruto over the years as I have, because it's definitely helped me out in life and just made my life better. I can't imagine it without Naruto being a part of it. So 20 years in the making has been pretty cool. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.